Can I start? Can you give me your name one more time?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fine. I don't actually need that. So I guess first of all, what I guess are there any challenges that come to you right off the top of your head when you think about difficulties that you guys have in conducting your day-to-day operations because you don't have a filing office there in Guam?
When you say filing office, do you mean an IRS office out here?
Yes.
Or, okay. We do have an IRS office here on Guam. However, they only conduct specific tasks, um, and it's not for the generalization of filing tax returns for taxpayers whose filing jurisdiction is IRS.
Okay.
But we do have an IRS representative out here every once in a while. We do
Okay.
have an office. Yes.
Okay, and when you say that you have like different offices for specific purposes, does that kind of mean that like if you need to file for a property tax, you would go to this office, or if you need to file an income tax form, you would go to that office? Is that kind of how it's set up instead, or?
Yeah. Property tax and driver's license and that falls all under the jurisdiction of the Department of Revenue and Taxation.
Okay. And so is the Department of Revenue and Taxation a private sector thing, or is that a government liaison with the Internal Revenue Service?
We run under the government of Guam.
Okay. Okay, so does that so you the does the Department of I guess my question is the Department of Revenue and Taxation affiliated with the IRS, or do they just report to the government of Guam and then Guam gets it to the IRS in uh,
Yeah. Guam is its own filing jurisdiction. However, we do mirror the Internal Revenue Code. A lot of it's most of its instructions and IRC codes when we run or when we enforce taxes here on Guam.
Okay.
It is a separate jurisdiction. However, we do not have our own instructions and IRC codes. We run under the Organic Act of Guam, uh, Guam Code Annotated, Title 11.
Okay. And can you kind of describe, I guess, the way that the filing jurisdiction is set up? Like if someone does need to file, what's the process that someone goes about when I guess they're filing their tax returns?
Well, you mean like filing their tax returns to Guam
Yes.
as opposed to filing it to the IRS?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So bona fide residents will file. Their filing jurisdiction is going to be considered Guam. Bona fide residents meaning there's a certain test that you would need to pass in order to determine your filing jurisdiction as Guam and determine yourself as a bona fide resident of Guam.
And
Um,
and do you have to do that if you're self-employed too?
yeah, if you're self-employed, yes. However, the self-employment taxes, Guam does not take care of self-employment taxes. It is a separate. You would need to separate your self-employment tax from your Guam tax, only because the Guam taxes withheld are paid to the treasurer of Guam and not the U.S. Treasury.
Okay.
However, the Social Security and Medicare taxes that's paid to the U.S. Treasury.
Okay. How is it determined is that it, or are there other taxes that are just paid to Guam's Treasury Department and not the U.S. Treasury?
Yeah, basically Guam has only the Guam tax and the Social Security and Medicare tax.
Okay. All right. And so, do you find that have you personally noticed challenges, I guess, that you guys have in making sure that if the IRS is assessing someone for a particular levy on their paycheck, or if it looks like they haven't paid their taxes based on the documents you guys have you guys, I guess, noticed any particular challenges about the way that that's assessed and making sure that's accurate?
I'm sorry, Mr. Devereaux. Can you repeat that question? Then I'm trying to put it more simple. I'm not really understanding the question.
Yeah, so basically, have you guys, because there is sort of that different process where the person has to declare they're either filing unemployment taxes or whether they're paying whether they're filing certain taxes that are being paid to the Treasury Department in Guam rather than the U.S. Treasury because of the lack of that file that tax office that they can go to file their federal income taxes. Because of the lack of that sort of liaison, do you guys ever find any particular challenges with making sure that everyone is assessed correctly? I guess so. Like for example, if you're going to put a levy on someone's paycheck because they haven't paid their federal income taxes or they haven't paid taxes on particular property that they owe. Do you have are there any challenges that come to your mind just off the top of your head in making sure that that is correctly assessed?
Well, just the plain simple fact that it is, because we do have certain individuals that have access or has communication with IRS, but there's only certain individuals that will have access to the what is her title? She takes care of like the U.S. possessions, the financial possessions of the territories that U.S. may have. Aside from the communication part of that, because there's a lot of times just the difference in the time zones is a challenge sometimes to try and to try and get an issue resolved when it has to deal with Guam and the IRS. That's a challenge within itself, but just not being able to have access to IRS information is just difficult.
Okay.
But it's not impossible because we do have certain, like I said, certain people who have communications with the IRS here in Reventat.
Okay, and those people are stationed in your office or somewhere on the mainland?
Oh, somewhere else.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This has done me a huge favor. All right. Thank you so much. Take care.